First of all, it's just, if I can echo the comments made by Kenneth this morning, it's wonderful to see so many of us back together again. And certainly as Vodafone, as you know, part of our signature is Together We Can, and we have, because we're back here together. I think over the 2 days, we're expecting over 3,000 people to come and connect at Arch. So thank you. It's great to see you all. And today we've got a little bit of a fireside chat with Johan Wibergh, our CTO, and Nick Reed, our CEO of Vodafone. So I'd like to welcome both Johan and Nick to the stage. Look. Thank you.
Maybe first of all, I could just say it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I mean, 5th anniversary. This event has been gaining momentum every single year. It's truly impressive. And I think what is very special about this is the opportunity to have large strategic corporates sitting alongside startups and scale-ups, really looking at innovation, new technologies, new opportunities for Vodafone and just society in general. And I think this is a fantastic location to be in, Luxembourg, because I think it has always embraced that. We have, 15-year history in Luxembourg. And I'd say the country and every government have really embraced innovation. I think Tomorrow Street is a really good example of a collaboration with the government, and also in terms of encouraging us to develop our business here. So increasingly we've scaled up, and now we have 400 absolutely amazing colleagues, professionals, which includes you, Ninian.
Amazing.
Yeah? That we are really proud of in terms of the capabilities they bring the group, whether it's supply chain, roaming, device management, financing. We have a lot of activities, and we intend to grow that going forward because it's a real powerhouse of capability.
And talking of growing that capability, and never one to miss an opportunity when we have a government minister, I'd actually like to invite Minister Fayot back on stage, because we have a small announcement which we're making today. So if I can invite the Minister back on stage. Now, Minister, I have something to sign here. Yeah. Now, today, the Vodafone Procurement Company, along with the Luxembourg government, are announcing that we will be building our pan-European logistics hub here in Bettemburg, in Luxembourg. It's taken a lot of time working together in a very productive way. The warehouse facility we are announcing today will have 29,000 square meters. Will provide logistics services for all of our European countries. And we are aiming to build the most sustainable warehouse in Europe with the most automation we can possibly fit in, using Vodafone products and services to make this a super efficient operation. And I'd like to say that the whole of this idea would not have been possible without the support of the Minister, his department, and the country. Shall we sign something, yes, Minister?
Yes,
or would you like to say?
No, I'm very, yeah. You said it perfectly, Ninian, and it's very exciting also, and I'm very grateful that and happy that we achieved this together. It was kind of a long discussion, but
it was a long discussion.
Yeah.
Only 2 years, so that's pretty quick. Yeah? Please, Minister. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. So again, I think it speaks volumes for our commitment to the Luxembourg location and the support which we get from a very business-friendly and tech-orientated government. Now, moving on to the fireside chat part of this, and as you know, all of these Q&As are really thought through and they're all pre-done and sort of stuff. So I've decided to completely change all the questions, just as a bit of a test for Nick and Johan to see if they're on the ball. So the first question I've really got, Nick, is around purpose. Back in 2019 at some small event down in Barcelona, you talked about repositioning telecommunication companies around purpose. And you made that speech with passion. I think. Could you tell us a little bit more around your thoughts around purpose and why you wish to reposition telcos?
Yeah, it's something very close to my heart, has always been. I think that you get a lot of companies that say they have a purpose or a mission, but it tends to be a poster on a wall. And when I came into the role as Group CEO, I really wanted to say, I don't just want to have the poster, I want us to be purpose-led as a company. And purpose-led really means that you live and breathe your purpose, that your purpose is at the forefront of all your thinking in terms of every decision that you make as a management team. It acts like a North Star, so when you're not sure, you just reflect on your purpose of what you're trying to achieve. And so to go to being more of a purpose-led company, we had to refine our purpose, and we did that right at the start of my tenure, and we refined it around the 3 pillars that I think you saw at the start of the conference, which is digital society, inclusion, and planet. And we felt these were the 3 pillars, and if I put them together, we want to, as Vodafone, enable a sustainable, inclusive digital society where everyone goes on the journey of the benefits of digital society and no one is left behind. That's what we believe in. And so we started on that process, and it's not something that you do in 1 year. Yeah? You have to start training in the whole organization to think that way and why it's really important that we do it as a business. And an additional aspect of that is then how do we play that narrative externally? And we use a concept that I coined social contracts. And what do I mean by a social contract? Essentially, we as an industry had a reputation, and that was the point I was making at Barcelona in the Mobile World Congress, was as an industry, I felt we spent all our time defending regulation. And it's a negative contribution because all you're saying is that's not good for us as a sector. And what I wanted to do was change that to be shaping policy that would provide the benefits of the mission that we've set out, the purpose that we've set out as a company. So what we did was we went up the stack effectively, not focusing on regulators, but actually focusing on ministers, governments, prime ministers, to say, what are the objectives you want to achieve in society, and how can Vodafone be an ally, a support in achieving those objectives? If I give you a good, tangible couple of examples. First was pandemic. So when the pandemic broke out, we sat down as an exec team, and in one session, and then developed over 5 days, came up with a 5-point plan for society. How were we going to help the health industry and hospitals with free connectivity? How are we going to help students study at home? How are we going to help vulnerable consumers, small businesses under pressure on cash flows? All of these things, we came out with our 5-point plan. And what I was really delighted about was the rest of the industry followed us with that plan. And that's showing leadership, and that's what purpose does. It shows leadership, it forces you to do the right things for society at the right times. And I think coming out of the pandemic, it repositioned our sector to be one that's seen as critical national infrastructure, doing essential services. I look at it, we're the sector of sectors. Without us, all the other sectors in the economy can't flourish. We enable countries to be globally competitive because of what we do. So it's a really important role that we have. You can tell I feel very passionate. I could do at least a 2-hour speech on that. But it's something that I think fundamentally Vodafone's well positioned to do within the footprint that we have.
Thank you, Nick. And just to reinforce that it's not a poster on the wall, our purpose criteria are actually embedded on how we make procurement decisions. So we're taking it really seriously to the heart of our decision making. Now, moving on to the second question, Nick, as a shareholder, me, okay? Mm-hmm. You'll probably have noticed over the past few months, a lot of the share prices for this sector are under significant pressure in Europe. Now, I know we're only 3 weeks away from results, so you're not going to tell us how we're doing, and you have to be careful what you say, but tell me a little bit around how you're thinking strategically about the sector over the short and medium term, looking ahead.
Yeah, look, I think we're in, the word unprecedented is getting used an awful lot at the moment, but I was in Brussels about 10 days, 2 weeks ago. I was meeting with the European Council President. I then met later in the day with Commissioner Breton, and we were talking about the state of Europe and the fact that really we have 4 crises that we are managing: the pandemic, war, energy crisis, and cost of living crisis. I mean, that is huge. And no business, no sector is untouched in that. I mean, obviously, the energy companies are having a positive time. With the exception of them, the rest of the sectors are really struggling to different degrees, and our sector is no different. If I look at our sector, there's really 3 reasons why you're seeing the share prices of all of the sector in Europe under a lot of pressure, but you're also seeing it in the US with Verizon, AT&T, etc. And the 3 drivers are, first of all, energy crisis. Energy is 2 to 3% of service revenue for our sector. If you take today's pricing, obviously this year, most of the businesses, including ours, had hedged this year. But when we get into next fiscal year, hedging is a lot lower in terms of a percentage. And so if you took today's current energy price, you're talking 3 times the cost to our business as a normal run rate. And we know that maybe that's an exceptional period, but when it normalizes back again, it will not return back to the previous levels. So we have to rebalance our sector, our business, in terms of our cost base because of that big pressure. Second thing is you've got inflation. Inflation in many categories, wage inflation, etc. But it's coming into energy, and other aspects of inflation are coming into a sector that has typically been deflationary in our pricing to the customer. You take the last decade, we've been deflationary every single year. Prices have been coming down. This year, even with the inflation, we were the only sector that experienced deflation. Everyone else had degrees of inflation. So that has a big margin squeeze on a sector that's already struggling to earn an acceptable return on capital. And then the third thing is, it's a sector that's invested a lot in networks and spectrum, and because of that, has high debt levels across the sector. Interest rates are going up, interest cost is going up, and that's a burden additionally to the sector. So, that's the upbeat part of the answer. So, it's challenging, but we've had challenges before. I'd say there's some things we're doing short term. Clearly, we have to look at pricing to our customers. You see us talk a lot about CPI, inflation-linked pricing. We need to go towards that model. I'd say, secondly, Ninian, the whole team, the reason why, by about 10 o'clock this evening, they might wane on energy is all the work being done on energy in terms of power agreements, 10-year, trying to establish the new baseline for our business after, let's say, the next 1 or 2 years, making sure that we have locked in on pricing for the long term at more acceptable levels, let's say. And then the third is we have to drive cost efficiency. All of you, as partners, can play your part in bringing new technologies, new solutions to drive efficiency for our business. So the short term, strategically, I would just say focused on a number of things. Number one, growth. It's really important to keep growing. We have European consumers, it's about 50% of our business. We're driving convergence in consumers. We're doing new value offers, propositions. I won't go through all the details, we haven't got time. About 30% is business. We're the challenger on business against the incumbent. We have next generation connectivity and digital services. They have legacy pricing, legacy products. Yeah? So what we see is an opportunity to grow in a cost of living challenged environment. And the third is Africa, which is about Africa consumer, about 20% of our business. And we have a massive opportunity, fixed and mobile penetration, and of course financial services with M-Pesa that's growing at over 20% service revenue. So growth, digital transformation of our operating model. Third, excellent, high-quality networks, not chasing high peak speeds. Let's focus on the customer and what they really value. And fourth is simplifying our group down to scaled European player, scaled African player, and then scale locally through consolidation and the benefits that that can bring to society with the purpose that we have. It's a big agenda. It's why I look the way I do. But you know, we've got a very clear plan.
All sounds very straightforward to me, but I'm quite happy to stay in Luxembourg running procurement, not running the company, because it's clearly a complex business, but so important to society. Now, this event, Arch, which we're running over the next couple of days, really focuses on innovation, and the time is now. And obviously around the three pillars of purpose, digital society, inclusion, and planet. If you look back since 2019, Nick, what would you be most proud of that we've done as a company around those three pillars?
To make sure I don't take too much of Johan's time, because he's so interesting, yeah? Let me be short in each. Let me pick one or two. I'd say, in terms of planet, really proud of Johan and the whole team, the technology team that are here today, in terms of we wanted to have a green network, and we had some targets, and we sat down and we said, if we really are purpose-driven, we should have more aggressive targets and set the bar higher. So we went to 100% renewable electricity for the European network 4 years earlier than our original target. Immensely proud of that and what we've done. The other thing we're doing in the planet that I'm really excited about is circular economy. Why is everyone buying new handsets? By the way, don't tell Tim Cook or anyone, but I said this. But you know, buying new handsets every 2 years, surely there's got to be the opportunity to trade in, recycle, and then bring back virtually new into the marketplace and be more sustainable longer term. And that's something we have designed within our proposition, launched in our countries and rolling out. So we want to be the number one in that area of recycling handsets for our customers. And of course, it lowers costs for them as well. I'd say when it comes to inclusion, M-Pesa, immensely proud. We have now over 50 million customers using mobile financial services, immensely powerful for the development of Africa going forward. I could go on, but look, maybe I stop there in the interest of time for Johan.
No, thank you, Nick. Now, I'm going to pivot round, as we say in our business, going to pivot a little bit to Johan. So first of all, Johan, you've managed to escape. So congratulations on your forthcoming retirement. You're a huge loss to the company. I know Nick has been texting you every 2 minutes saying, do you not want to reconsider? Do you not want to reconsider and stay for another 5 or 10 years with us? Because the contribution's been immense over the last 8 years. And technology now is going to be co-run by Alberto Repepi, who's here today, and Scott Petty. Could you tell us a little bit around how that's going to work going forward in your journey? Yeah?
Sure. Thank you, Ninian. And I mean, first of all, a big thank you to you, Ninian, and everyone here that have been part of arranging this event. I think it's amazing to be back here, so great on that. Then secondly, I want to give a big thank you to everyone in here. Most of you have been working with Vodafone over the last many years, and also during my almost 8 years, and you have really been helping us to succeed. So it's a big thank you to you. The things we have succeeded with is part of your success that we have achieved them. So a really big thank you to all of you. And then, as you said, I'm being succeeded by 2 people. So maybe, since we have Alberto Repepi here, you want to stand up? Yeah, so. It's better if I show him to all of you, because then you will chase him instead of me. That makes my day easier. Scott Petty would be here, but he has COVID, unfortunately. So otherwise he would have been there also. So sorry for that. So you have to find another chance how to meet him. I mean, Vodafone is a great company with a lot of great people, and I have really enjoyed working for Vodafone. It's been my best job ever in my career. But after 15 years in Group Exco, and before that I did 2 country CEO jobs, I've achieved almost 60 years age. It's time to move on to my next phase, which I really look forward to, and just slowing down. This has been my last operational job. Enjoyed it immensely, but now is the time to move on. And the key word we used internally when we announced the change was continuity. For me, the way to define success of the announcement was that people would look up, they would read the announcement, they would think a little bit about it, and then 10 minutes later, they will go back to working. That would be success, a continuity. And since I agreed this with Nick 2 years ago that I would be leaving, I've also, for even longer period, been working on making sure I build and create a technology organization that's not really dependent on me. Success is if you can leave your job and things works really well. I really focused on ways of working, on building leadership in the organization, and making sure that things are well anchored. And that's why it's going to be continuity. And that's why it was a non-event internally when my retirement was announced. I can give you one example. We have a strategy that's called Tech 2025. And before that, it was called Tech 2020. Very easy, right? I like simple solutions. It was not done by a team in a conference room and then communicated across the company. It was really done by 500 people all across the business. And not only technology, also colleagues from the other areas within the company were involved. And that's why people use Tech 2025 in their internal discussion about the technology strategy, because they feel they are part of it. And that's why you're going to see that it's going to be continuity when I leave, because the things we've been doing, right or wrong, is very well embedded in the organization, and it's shared by all the people. And we focused a lot on how we work well together, how we handle problems, how we make decisions around that. So I'm super confident, and I'm super happy that we had 2 good successes internally. And I think it's a testament to the excellent job that both Alberto and Scott have been doing over the last many years. Scott and Alberto have been direct reports to me for the 8 years I've been at Vodafone. So I know what to go for, and I'm super relaxed leaving now. I know they will do a great job. I'll leave you in warm hands, in good, capable hands.
So your retirement was agreed 2 years ago?
Yes.
I thought we were buddies and we need to communicate. Never told me.
Yeah,
you never told me either.
No. We are buddies, but I can also keep my mouth shut when I have to.
Which is very rare for me, as you well know.
I don't know what you mean.
Now, more than ever, Johan, our customers, whether they're business customers or consumers, are demanding from us as fast, ubiquitous, reliable networks. How do you balance that requirement for that from our customers with bringing in new innovation and new ideas, which carry kind of a different level of risk from an operational perspective?
Yeah. I think it's important to recognize that customers is why we exist as an organization. And those of you that have been in my room, or you have done a video conference with me when I am in my room, you will know that next to me I have a chair, and there's a red cloth on it, and there it says, "I am your customer. How do you care for my needs?" And everyone knows that that's the customer chair, and no one is allowed to sit there with a few exceptions. And the reason why it is there is that in all our internal meetings, when people are sitting in there, we're talking, is to remind everyone why we do something and the results we need to achieve. And customers are really demanding networks that are performing great and works all the time. So of course it's hard to combine that with driving innovation. So I think there is a balance in there. I think we've been very good on doing that, and I can't take no credit to that. I have to give all the credit to Alberto and his team. I think the operational excellence we've been able to achieve in the networks, if you look on the incidents, the problems we're having, they have just been going down and down over the last couple of years. At the same time, we've been innovating in how we operate in the networks. And we call that zero-touch operation. And basically, we have been improving our performance, our quality, by automating things, because human being makes mistakes. So by automating things, you get things that works better. And we've been doing a lot of innovations around that. I think another key innovation that Alberto's organization has been doing is what we call Open RAN, which is very trendy, right? In many technology areas, you disaggregate the hardware and software, so you get better cost and higher innovation speed. And we've been innovating on that. We've been doing that in a safe way, working a lot with the ecosystem, bringing things into trials, and now we bring it into commercial production. We announced last year the biggest commercial delivery in Europe, in the UK, as a starting point. And we said 30% of our complete radio footprint in Europe will be Open RAN by 2030. So I think you can combine it. If you look on the IT domain, one example I could give there is what we've done together with Google, where we changed completely the way we handle data analytics. And we've gone from doing country by country technical solutions to put everything on Google Cloud. We have innovated with Google. They have created a new product that is called Dynamo, on how you move data from source systems into their cloud, doing changes of the data on the fly, which really simplify things for us. So I think there are many, many areas to do that. And there is a balance of speed, quality, and innovation. And I think we can handle both.
Thank you, Johan. I love the example of having the customer chair. And just to show how things are changing, I was on a video last week, and Alberto was sitting in the customer chair, and he said, Ninian, I am a customer of your procurement service. So this is very good. So, Johan...
But just to say, just the power of dance, it triggers that discussions in normal meetings, which is good. It reminds people all the time why we exist and what we need to think about as we do things. So it achieves its purpose.
Yeah, I entirely agree. And I think your role, Johan, is always one of balancing different requirements. You have to balance the inflationary pressures we have today with the need for efficiency. You've got to balance time to market along with improving that customer experience. How have you been thinking about that over your 7 years, 9 months, and 20 days so far in Vodafone?
Yeah. Oh, I don't think there really is a contradiction in this, because I think, if we're honest to ourselves, right, the telco industry has been a little bit conservative. And I think we've been working really hard for the last many years is trying to move from being maybe laggards to being more of the leading edge and driving changes. And I think in that context also, we decided 18 months ago to change the way how we operate the organization in Europe. And we went from a country-by-country organization into one European organization with domains and subdomains across the Europe. Now you may ask yourself, why is he talking about the organization? How does that really answer the question that Ninian had? But if you look on some of the outcomes that we have achieved, by going from, before then, we were operating in 12 countries. You're trying to make sure you have the best people in 12 countries, and you got the optimal execution in every process in 12 countries. It's really difficult, right? Now, if you instead create domains and subdomains that goes across Europe, and you have one process that goes across Europe, and you pick your best people that runs that process, you can achieve something that is faster decision maker, faster execution of that. You can get a better result. The outcome of that work is better. And you can get it done cheaper, because it actually be that instead of repeating something 12 times and learning 12 different times, you just do it once. And when you look on some of the outcomes we have achieved, it's fantastic. The cost savings we had planned the first year, we did 40% more. If you looked on operational excellence, a certain type of incidents we were having, we have in the network side done more than a 40% reduction. And that after still many years of really driving it down. And you see the speed of learning coming up more and more. So it gives a better outcome for our customers at a lower cost. And people are saying now, how come we worked in that old way before? That wasn't really a smart way of working. So I think that's a good example on how you can actually achieve faster, better, cheaper by working in another way and daring to do that. And I'm convinced that this will really help us going forward.
Could I just do a very fast build? One of the things that we are trying to achieve as a company is shifting from a classic telco, which tends to be market orientated, each of the functions, just local market focus, to being more of a next generation connectivity and digital services provider on a regional scale basis. So what we're trying to do is say we need the very best connectivity, mobile and fixed, in each of our markets, managed across Europe. But at the same time, sitting on top of that infrastructure is more like a technology company in the way it works, rather than being a telco in the way it works. So we're becoming more agile, we're being faster in terms of product development, and we're being more standardized on how we bring those benefits across our whole European footprint. Maybe the things like developing platforms so that we can engage with strategic partners once for our footprint, as opposed to that strategic partner agreeing a high-level commercial agreement, but then having to connect with us in each of the individual markets. So this is the journey we're on, and that execution that Johan was just going through was a big change for our organization to enable that vision.
Thank you. So I just want to say, Johan, I think Luxembourg was the first country you visited when you took over as CTO 7.5 years ago. It'll also probably be the last country you visit as CTO, nearly.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm devastated. Do you want to come back? We can put this on again in December if it helps. But I'd really just like to thank Johan on behalf of all the partners who are also here. It's been immense working with you. We wish you all the best. I know you're thinking about a house in the Caribbean, so we all want to be your buddy going forward.
Yeah.
So we can do holidays. But I think in summing up, hopefully you've got a little bit of insight from how easy Nick's job is, when he's gone through that, and also how we're building a technology company at the heart of Europe with skills, scale, and capability. And actually, if we want to become a tech company, this is exactly the type of event which we want to run to gain your ideas for new products, new services, new propositions, so that both you can flourish as partners and we can also flourish. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much to Nick. And thank you very much to Johan for your time.
And thank you very much, Ninian, for everything you're doing. It's fantastic.